Hi there, I'm Dr. Herb Coleman, and I'm here to help you set up Google Classroom as your communications platform. This is a time when I think we all need to be able to reach out to our students, have our students reach out to us. And so this tutorial is going to show you how to set up Google Classroom to be able to use it for either your regular teaching or certainly now in the times of Corona to be able to reach out to your students and connect with them remotely. What this presentation will show you is I'm going to just do an intro. I'm going to describe Google Classroom, share some examples. I'm going to show you how it looks from the teacher's point of view and from the student's point of view, and then show you how to create a class, how to set up your own class so you can get started, maybe practice with it before you have to actually put it into use. And then I'll share with you some resources that will help you to be able to continue to grow and use this fantastic tool for teaching. First of all, a disclaimer. I am not paid by Google. I do own some Alphabet stock. I think I own a quarter of a share at this point. It's way too expensive for me to own much more than that. So yeah, I do get some benefit from Google. I am not Google certified. Plan to be soon, but I'm not yet. I did serve on the Google for Higher Education panel at South by Southwest EDU in 2018 and 2019. And I did attend the Google Summer Faculty Institute in 2019. A little bit of history. I was a beta tester for Google Classroom back in the summer of 2014. And after I first tested it, I really couldn't use it with my students because our students are on a different domain than our faculty are. Our faculty are on austincc.edu. Our students are on g.austincc.edu. Then in November of that year, I discovered that I had a student account that was on g.austincc.edu. This is very important, and I'll tell you about this later down the line. But what it did allow for me to do is it allowed for me to create a classroom using that account, and then my students could also then be able to access because now we're on the same domain. So I used it for my first class in spring of 2014 and haven't looked back since. In the fall of 2015, Google allowed us to combine our domains together so they could see and talk to each other, and that solved all my issues. Now, the cool thing about that is because I do have this student domain, I can enroll myself as a student in all my classes, so I can look at things from the student point of view and frequently see if they are having an issue or having a problem or something that doesn't seem to be showing up for them or whatever. I can look at it the same way that they look at it. I can also test things out by sending it just to that student, to myself as a student, and see how it looks before I share it with some of my students. And as I said, I haven't looked back. So, Google Classroom. Used to be only for education. You used to have to have just the Google for Education account to be able to use Google Classroom. But now it's available for anybody with the Gmail account. So you can use this outside of your regular teaching assignment. You can use it to create study groups outside, or tutorial groups, or summer camps, or whatever other educational thing you want to do. If you want to use it to deal with other educators outside of your institution, that's an ideal use of it. Now, the education and non-educational accounts cannot log into each other unless you have your admin set it up. So you can have your admin set it up so that those within your educational account can communicate outside, or you can have it so that those outside can see your educations, or any combination of there. Right now, ours are locked out so they can't see each other. So that means if I want to do something with you outside of that, I have to use a non-ACC account to do that. Google Classroom is a platform that basically allows for you for posting. It has, when you first log on to it, the Stream tab. And this is kind of like your announcements tabs in your Blackboard or Canvas learning management systems, or LMS. So you can post an announcement there, and your students will get an email. And this is the beauty of Google Classroom. It integrates with the students' Google Gmail, and that's what the magic of it. That's why I love it so much, and that's why it's a great tool to use if Google is the one that's providing your Gmail for your staff, your faculty and students. In your announcements, you can post links to websites, to videos, and documents within there. So therefore, you can make an announcement and then attach something to them and just kind of share it out that way if you wish. You can also allow students to respond. So there's a place when you do the announcements where students can then respond to the class as a whole. And so now you can create a discussion if you wish to. So you can post something, have students read it, have them look at it, have them, whatever, go out to that website, and then they can come back and they can comment on it. And then you can comment back and forth, and your students can comment back and forth to each other. So, as I said, it's a great way to start discussions. Now, it's set up so that all the assignments that you post also create an announcement. And if you wish, you can turn that off or you can leave it on. And so that way, whenever you post an assignment, not only do the students get an email, but it's also on the announcement tab when they first log into Google Classroom. I promise that cough is just a sinuses. It's not anything more than that. So, you go to Google Classroom. This is what it looks like. This is the Stream tab, and you can see this right here. This is where it says, you can put in announcements for your students. And so you would just click in here, create an announcement, and then it would post there, and students would get an email. So the next thing you want to do is where all the magic takes place on the classwork tab of Google Classroom. That's where all your assignments are going to be. That's where students are going to find the assignments. That's where you're going to post documents. That's where all the work is going to be done. And then even from a professor standpoint or teacher standpoint, when you're grading things, you'll go to that tab most times to make sure the assignments are there, to look for them. You can start grading from that tab, but there's also another way I can show you to do that a little bit better. So you can post, first of all, materials, information. So you can just make a post and you can attach materials, documents, media, audio files, video files. It integrates perfectly with YouTube, or you can link to other websites. So you can this is where you want to provide students with information. You don't want to grade it. You don't want them to have to turn anything in. You're just posting information for them. Once again, for each of these, you can also have a class discussion. So you can post them in there, and then students can then comment on it if you wish, or you can just post it as a shared information. The next level is called questions. So this is where you'll post a question right there in the Google Classwork stream, or under a topic, and then students can either you can link a document to that question, or you can link a website or something else to that question, and then have them look at that, or you can just ask a general question and just have them answer it. And then they answer the question. It can be either multiple choice or short answer. And short answer can actually be a paragraph, so it doesn't have to be a really short answer. The next level up is doing a quiz. So you can create a quiz using Google Forms, and then you can that will be within your Google Classroom. And so when students click on it, it takes them out to the form. They complete the form. They answer the questions on the form, and then they come back to Google Classroom. And when they submit it, it automatically submits and automatically grades if you set it up to do that. So that's a really neat thing about that. So you can ask a question during the question part, or you can ask that same question or more questions using a quiz, or you can do assignments. And when you do assignments, you can do this all kinds of ways when you make an assignment. The key thing about an assignment and the questions and the quizzes is that they all have grades attached to them. Materials do not have grades attached to them. So you post an assignment, students immediately get an email saying that you post an assignment. The assignment is then completed by the students, and then it's graded and returned by you. And when you grade and return it, then the student gets an email telling that's been returned and shows their grade. Then they can click on it, then they can review it, and if there's corrections allowed, they can make corrections. You can and should group your assignments by topic, particularly if you're going to be using it over the course of a semester, because it makes it easier just to find things and to show how you move along, and just keeps things organized. Otherwise, you just have this long list of things that students have to kind of sort through. And once again, your assignments, you can use a Google Doc for your assignments. You can attach a PDF. You can attach another document. You can do all kinds of things with your assignments, and then have students turn those in various ways. We'll show you that in just a second. There's also a grades tab that is basically the online grade book for your Google Classroom. When you see it, you'll see the grades for all your students. When your students look at that, they will see their grades, the grades that were turned in for all their stuff. You can also download the grades. When you're in an assignment that you're grading, you can download either just those grades that for that assignment that you're looking at, or for the entire Google Classroom. And then it puts it in a spreadsheet, in a CVS, or you can save it as a Google Sheet. And then that way you can open it in Excel on your desktop, or open it up in Google Sheets on your from your computer in the browser, and then you can manipulate that. And then you can save it because it's a CVS file. You can probably then upload it to your LMS system as well. So here's the classwork tab, and what you would do is you click on the create button, and it gives you that list of things that you can then create. So it'll give you a list of materials, quizzes, questions, and assignments, or you can reuse things that you've done before. And the thing that's neat about that is you can use things that you've done for other classes. So it doesn't matter which class you've used it for. Anything that you've created before, you can reuse, retitle, and then post it again here. So that's the beautiful thing about that. And then as you go, things will be listed down there. Oops, let me go back to that. You can also create a topic, and all a topic is, it's a label for grouping your items. So you can group it, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, or by subject topic. The unit on addition, the unit of subtraction, unit on multiplication. If you're a math teacher, anything that goes along with that. Just some other quick things. Your classroom automatically has a calendar link to it, so all your assignments and their due dates will also be sent within that calendar. And what Google Classroom really does is it stores all this stuff in folders on your drive. What I would say is, in the beginning, until you become very well versed in this, don't touch the folder. Just leave things, let them go as it goes, and everything will work. If you start messing around in the folders, you might break some things. This is the grades tab, and so I only have my student self logged in this class at this time, and I only have one assignment there. And so once you grade it, it'll show the student's grade here as well as the class average. And then as you make more assignments, they'll spread out across there, and you'll see all your students listed down this way, and then all your assignments across this way in a grade book. Not the best grade book in the world, but it's a grade book, and it works, and you can be able to see and manipulate and kind of use the things like that. And of course, as we said, you can download your grade book and use it, manage it on your desktop or as a Google Sheet, and then manage it through the browser. So the one tab we forgot to talk about was the People tab. And this has the list of the students and teachers. So one thing you can do with Google Classroom is you can have a co-teacher. So you can have a teacher join your classroom as a co-teacher, and then that way you can both have access to it, and you can both make assignments and grading and that kind of thing like that. And that's a neat thing that kind of works with it. The other thing it does give you a list of all your students that are registered in your class. When you click on an individual, you'll see all their work. That's one of the beautiful things about that. So when you want to meet with a student, you can then you can review their work with them. You can see what things have been turned in on time, what things are missing, what grade they got for anything, and just kind of answer their questions about the various assignments. You can also, when you're on the People tab, if you click on the box next to the student's name, you can then click on Activities, and you can email the student. You can mute the student if you don't want them commenting anymore because they've been not making the best comments, or if they've withdrawn from your class, you can go ahead and remove them from your class. So this is the People tab that you see, and you see that I'm the only teacher for this. If I had a co-teacher, I would click there and can be able to add a co-teacher if I wanted to. And then as students add, you can add the students. They'll be listed down here, and you can sort them alphabetically by first or last name. And then if you were to click on the little box here, you can click Action, and that's where you can email, mute, or remove the student from the class. So now let's jump out of this presentation, and let's go ahead and look at my live demo of Google Classroom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the Google Classroom I used for this workshop that I did a year ago. So this is the workshop I did for a year ago, and here we are in the Stream tab. And so you see the Stream tab, there's lots of different announcements in here, and you can see that it posted an announcement every time I added something. It said that I posted something, but then there's also announcements that I made where I said, here's some resources, here's some tutorials, and then here's the announcements of things that were posted by me that goes in there. This gets old for me real quick, so in my regular class, I turn off using the gear icon here, the settings. I go up there and I turn off the automatic posting of assignments because it starts to fill up a little bit too much once you get in there. But this is a great little announcement area. So once again, when you make an announcement here, You can see that there's an announcement, and this one, in this case, there's a YouTube video that goes with it. And then there's a place down here for class comments. Your students will see the exact same thing. And so they could then comment on, and they frequently do, when there's a question about something that I've posted or some the date that something is due or something like that, they'll have a question about it. So you have that option there. So this is what you'll see whenever you first go to Google Classroom. This is the Stream tab, and that's where all the Stream announcements things will go. The big work, of course, is in the classwork area. So if you don't give something a topic, if you don't put it under a topic, it's just going to show up at the top of your stream, and it'll just stream that way. So my little welcome, I just put it there, and I don't have any. I didn't put it in. I didn't put it under any topic because I want it to stay at the top the whole time. And you can just kind of see it's just a little welcome. That's all it really is there. So that's what that one is. And then I put a little intro to Google Classroom here, and there's a video for my students to be able to watch that. It just occurred to me that I won't be able to share this with those of you who are not part of ACC, because this is part of in our ACC domain. But I will make all of these resources available to you outside from a non-ACC Google account. So for that particular workshop, I created an area called class support. And so I showed them an example of linking a syllabus. If you notice, that's a document. So there's really nothing for students to do, but if they have a question, they can ask a question. And this likewise, we use Open Education Resources, or OER. So I have a PDF textbook for my students. So their textbook is right there. They can click on it, they can read their textbook online, or they can download it if they wish. The class schedule, I use a Google Sheet for the class schedule. It's posted there. They can click on that, and that's the one I can update and let them know that what's going on with there. So those first three things are just documents, and those were created by going here and saying create materials. So you create the material, and then you can post whatever you want. So I noticed I posted links, I posted a video, and I posted a PDF file. Now there's a sample quiz. So my students come in here. They take this little sample quiz, and it's basically a cheap little quiz that asks them about Google Classroom, and then they answer it, and then it reports that back. And that's a simple thing to kind of, you could ask whatever you want in that quiz. Did you get your textbook, whatever. You can make it where it's a right or wrong, or an ungraded assignment. In that case, it's going to be pretty much, that one was just a quick sample one on there. And then I'm also going to post a resource. In this case, these particular slides are posted there as a resource. So all that's under my class support tab. I created a Unit 1 tab, but I haven't posted anything there. And that's fine. You can create your tabs ahead of time, your topics, and this will not show up for the students until I actually put something under it. So my students don't know that I created a Unit 1 tab. Now there's the posting tab. So the first thing I have is a question. So I asked a question. There's a video here that they can watch, and I say watch the attached video, and then come back and answer the question. And the question is there a better way? Let me go back to it. View question. And what they would see is this: is there a better way to handle multiple Google handle having multiple Google accounts open? So one thing you're going to need to know about using Google Classroom. You and your students need to know on your window, only have your school Gmail logged in when you're working with that. What I frequently do is I'll open up an incognito window, and that's all I do is in that window is all my Google stuff. If you have your home Gmail and your personal Gmail or your other Gmail logged in there, it's going to create problems for you. So you want to watch that. So this document talks about that. This video talks about that, and that's why I asked that question for them. So let's go back. So that was a question, and that was a short answer, open-ended question for them to answer. I could have also, and I did ask, just ask them a question that's multiple choice. So this is a multiple choice question that now your students won't see these answers until after they answer. Once they answer, then they'll see how everybody else has answered. So once again, if we go view question, we jump there. This is what the question looks like. So it's like, what is your experience level with Google Classroom? None. I've heard about it, but never used it. I've used it as a student. I've been to a workshop and not implemented it. I used it once as a teacher. I've used it for multiple classes, and I'm an expert. And once again, they could still put other comments if they want to share comments with other people, or they can just go ahead and answer it, and then they'll be able to see the results of it there. Let me go back. So that's just a question. I could take that same question, and I actually did, and put it in a Google quiz. And so now it's as a quiz. And it's not just a quiz. What I did with this is I set it up so that it branches, so that depending on how you answer, it'll take you to a different area for more information. So if you were to answer your experience is none, then it takes you to the intro to Google Classroom. If it says you've heard of it but never used it, then it takes you to same thing. If it says you've used it as a student, then it might take you to teaching and student view in Google Classroom, showing you how those are different. If you had a workshop but never implemented it, then it takes you how to set it up. If you've used it once, then it takes you to additional features. If you used it in multiple classrooms, it takes you to adding more. And then if you're an expert, thank you for your service. No, it gives you some other resources there, and it allows you to submit. So not only is that quiz, does it gather the information of different the various levels of students' experiences, but it also directs them to a different resource depending on their level of experience. And that's one of the beauties about using a form there, is that you can create the branching within a form that does that for you. That's a different skill that will be covered in a different workshop. I could also take the same thing and just put it into a Google form. So, not a Google form, sorry, a Google assignment. So this was a question, this was a quiz, this is an assignment. And so now they have the assignment that says, I created just a simple Google Doc and classroom experience. Please write a short paragraph indicating your level of experience and what you hope to learn in the workshop. And they would just click down here, they would type it in, and on the student side, and you'll see in a minute, it would show up with a turn in button here where they can then turn in their answer. So what you've just seen is 3 different ways that you can do the same assignment in Google Classroom. You can create it as a question, you can create it as a quiz, or create it as a document, and then let them do it that way. And then this one, what is this quiz? I forgot what this quiz did for them. So this was a general quiz. After they finished that whole first part, this was a quiz. There was a video, and then they should answer these questions below, and it kind of makes sure that they kind of paid attention and that they watched the video. So those are some of the different things that you can post within your Google Classroom, and then you can assign those. You can create the different topics on it. And the neat thing about topics is that if you click on one topic, you can see just those items now. So you don't have to scroll through the whole document. Those are all the things that are under class support. If we were to go to Unit 1, there's nothing there. But if you go to the posting, these are all those different ways of doing assignments that I showed earlier. And then the resources, which we'll go over at the end. Resources those are other links that I've just put in there as materials or documents there. Or I can just show all topics. Come back and show all topics. There we go. And there you see everything, even the ones that aren't under topics, then show up here at the top. That's the teacher view of what Google Classroom is like. Let's go to the student view. So, as a student enrolled in that same workshop, here's what I would see. All those same announcements are all right here. Plus, I would have gotten an email about these assignments. If I go to my Google Classroom, my Google Gmail, you can see I have all these announcements that came to me from there. So you can see that I posted a new material, I posted some other information there, and then I would go to Google Classroom and I could find it immediately. And that's one of the beauties of Google Classroom. In fact, if I go back to this for a second, I can see that it says they posted a new material. I can just click on that and it takes me immediately to Google Classroom, and not just to Google Classroom, but to that post. And so that's one of the beauties of the way it integrates for the student. They get the email, they can immediately click on the information in the email and go straight to what they need. So that's very helpful for them. They can also just come back to the main page and then be able to work it that way. And so there you go. Those are all the announcements. That's where the stream is. As a student, you can see that if I had a question about this, this video doesn't seem to cover what I think it is, or this video is not playing on my computer. They can make a comment on there if they wanted to. And then, of course, you could respond to the comment, and it could create a whole discussion thread if that's what you want it to do. If you go to the classwork tab, now you can see, I see, once again, I see the welcome document, the intro, all the class support information, all the posting information, and all the resources. But look at that. I don't see that Unit 1 because there's nothing under there. And as a student, I can do the same thing. I can click here and go to class support, or go to the posting, or go straight to the resources. And it kind of works, the same way there. So you get to see, most of the things on here. This is what the student view is. And so one of the examples, if like, for instance, when I go to the student, there's the syllabus, there's the textbook, all that's going to look basically the same. But when I look at the quiz and I go to it, I've already done that one, so I can view my score. And boom, there's my score. And I missed it because I didn't answer it correctly or whatever. There it is. If I go to the posting items here, so there's the video thing, and you see this one says that's missing because I didn't answer it before the due deadline last year, so that one's missing, but I didn't answer that one. This one I answered, and so because I answered it, I can see the responses of the different levels of experience that people had with Google Classroom. And then the prompt. So if you notice, when I created a document for in Google Docs, and then it created a document for each student. So you can see this document already has my name on there as a student. And then as a student, I looked at this and I answered the question here. Let me close that. I answered the question here, and then you can see that there's a correction on my spelling, or saying that I probably need to look at that. But when I finished it, all I had to do was hit turn in. And then it's turned in, and they're making sure I really do want to turn it in, and I'm resubmitting as well because it was already great at one time. And so there it is. I turned it in. So when a student comes to Google Classroom, here's the assignment, I could click directly on the document, which I did, or I could click on View Assignment. When you click on View Assignment, this is what a student sees. If they want to do a class comment, they can do that here. They can go ahead and go to work on the assignment and submit it. Or if they want to talk to you personally, if they want to email you personally, they have a question about this. I've been sick, I've not been able to complete this assignment on time, can I have an extension? They can send that to you. The rest of the class won't see it, just you see it and they see it. Go straight to your email as a professor. That's one of the beauties that I love about this communication flow here. If they did want to discuss as a class, the assignment, you could do this, you could click it here, I had trouble answering this, did anybody else have difficulty understanding what he's asking for? Then students can then comment back and forth to each other on that. So that's the way it works when students, get that assignment. Go back to that. So that was the assignment that you saw there. And then, of course, if you do the quiz, the quizzes are going to be the same as they were before. And I already did this one too, so it's not going to show me the quiz again. And you can set that up. You can set up quizzes so that students can see it one time, or they can retake it. So that's up to you to how you can do this. So this one, I watched the video, and then I answered, and it shows me the ones that I got wrong. It tells me what's the correct answer on the quiz there, and it auto-graded it for me. And I got an email on that once that was done. So that's your student view of Google Classroom. Now, for students, if they really want to see all their work, they have two ways to do that. When they're in the stream here, they can click View All, or when they're in Classroom, they can click View Your Work. And they both give you the same thing. They show all your assignments that you've had, and whether you've turned them in or they were missing. And if you got a grade, there was your grade. If you want to, you can filter it by what's been assigned and not graded. You can filter it by what's missing, or you can see what's been returned with a grade. Or you can just, you want to go back, you want to see them all. You have to go back to the deal and see them all. So there you go. So that gives students this is where the students can see all their information. I can have it set that up here it'll show their percentage of completion of all their assignments. It's not fully 100% accurate, but it does help give them an idea of how they're doing in the class. So they can kind of see that, and they kind of can know. So this is Google Classroom. That's the student view. You saw the teacher view. And this is what I think you can use as a great tool to help you get through this time when you have to communicate with your students remotely. Let me go back to my presentation and finish that up. We will finish from this slide here. So you saw that you've seen the student view and teacher view. Now let's see how to get you started. So what you will do is log in with your school Gmail account, and then you're going to create a class, post an introduction, create an assignment or a question. Then you're going to invite students, and then if you want to send a comment, and then comment on an assignment, and then you create assignments and download grades. So to create a class, you'll log in, click on the little plus sign. When you log into your ACC Gmail, then log into Google Classroom. And there's a couple ways that you can do that real quick. Let me show you that real quick. When you go to your Gmail, if you click on the 9 squares, the waffle, whatever the grid you want to call it, if you scroll down, you should be able to find Google Classroom within there. And if you go to Google Classroom, I've got a lot of them, don't panic, but just click on the plus sign and you can create one. So make sure to create one. If this is your first time going to Google Classroom, make sure you log in as a teacher. If you log in as a student, you will not be able to create classes. So make sure you log in as a teacher. And then you just click the Create a Class button, and you just create it, give it a title. If you want to give it a section number, you can. If you want to give it a subject and room, you can. And then you would just create it. I already did that here with my example class, so I created that one there. And then I posted these 2 assignments in there so that those are listed. Then I went to the people one, and this is where I invited students. So one of the things that you can do here is I sent out an email to myself, and then I joined via a code. When you first create a class, it has a code with you. It has a class code. Hold on. There. That's your class code for them to join your class. So to go to Google Classroom, they click join, they enter that code, they're in your class. Another way that you can do that is you can click on this plus sign and you can paste your student emails right in there. So you can download your student emails from your LMS, your learning management system, or for some other system. If you have just their emails in a list, you can copy and paste right in there, and then you hit return, and then you invite them all. And then they'll get an email, in their email they click on it, and then they're in the class. That's all they have to do to join. So that's what you'll do once you've set up your class there. So you're going to create the class, give it a name, and then make a welcome announcement within the stream. You can go ahead and create a question, which can be a short answer or multiple choice. You can create a short quiz if you want. Ask them about their ability. What tech do they have? Like, do they have computers at home or a tablet, or are they using their phone? I have students do all 3, and that's what's scary. My students have used this using their phones, and they'll bring it up to me in class and say, this document's not showing, or this isn't showing, whatever like that. And you have to kind of scroll things over sometimes or look at it, but it does work. Students have done it on their phone. It works pretty well on the tablet because you can see things a lot better on there as well. You can create an assignment, and then you can create one using a Google Doc. And when you do that, it's very easy. I guess I should show you that real quick. To create assignments is as easy as it sounds. If you want to create one with materials, all you would do is you give it a title, and then you can add your materials. You can add one from your Google Drive, paste a link, upload a file, or attach a YouTube video. You can do any of those things from that. I'm going to do neither. You could also create a quiz, as we said, create a question, or reuse the post from another previous post assignment that you've made. Creating a new assignment, you do the same kind of thing. Yes, this tells you. You can create, put a title in there, give them some instructions, set the points for it. You can set a due date, which topic you want it to be under. The newest thing they've added is a rubric. You can create a rubric or add a rubric to it. And also, you can decide whether it goes to all your students or just some of your students. So you can create groups and teams in there. The hard part for that is you have to remember which teams they are and recreate those each time you make an assignment. But it works for now. And so when you create an assignment, once again, I typically would go here and I add a document from my Google Drive, and then I let them use that document. I make a copy for each student, and then they go from there. You also can put in here this originality report here. So if you're having students write something back on the document and you do the originality report, it checks it to go see if it matches things that are out there on the web. And to tell you how thorough this is, the number one thing I see flagged are references. So when students have made citations to sources, it flags that as like, wait a minute, this is exactly like, and it's showing us that citation. And there's been a couple of times where it's actually flagged my directions. So when I say, please be sure to fill out, that has shown up in somebody else's document as well. On occasion, students have, kind of like copy and pasted or semi-plagiarized things, and it's highlighted, and we kind of discuss that and make sure they understand what they did wrong there, and I give them a chance to correct that. So that's how you create assignments. It's that simple on there. So you can go ahead and start with your Google Classroom today, doing the things that we just talked about. Create a quiz, an assignment. And then you have to invite your students once again. You can do that by pasting their emails into the invite on the People tab. You can post the join code in your LMS or in your LMS. So just copy your join code, make an announcement in your LMS, put a link to Google Classroom in there, tell them to go to Google Classroom, click on the plus sign, click join a class, and paste this code in there, and then they can join the class. If you have their individual emails and you wish to do so, you can just email them out. Or if you have a group email for your students or regroup or something like that where you can automatically email all your students, then certainly just paste the code in there and say, you go to Google Classroom again, give them the URL and have them say, join, click on the plus sign, join class, and enter this code, and they'll do it. And then, of course, if you have a student account, it is really great to add yourself and invite yourself and join your class so you can monitor it as a student and see how the students see it within your class. That's an invaluable resource for me to kind of help mitigate any questions or issues that come up. Also, I create tutorials for my students showing them how to do certain things or if they have a question about something on there, particularly when I link to things outside. One of the things I didn't show you that you'll find in the resources is that there are other third-party applications that you can use with Google Classroom, and that people literally sign in from their Google Classroom. They click on your link, it says join using Google, and then they can complete assignments and things like Edulastic and quizzes and some of these other services out there. Here are the resources that can definitely help you get help with this. I'll talk about the Google question mark in a second. I'll come back to that. But Google has tons of videos in EDU and 90. So you can go to the YouTube channel there, and there's tons of videos to help you with there. Two experts that you've got to friend and that you've got to get to know are Casey Bell and Alice Keeler. Alice Keeler has written tons of books on Google Classroom as well as other Google things on there. She's a former K-12 teacher who's done a lot of this stuff, and she even does things where she codes some different tools that have been very helpful in all parts of my education and teaching there. You can also, of course, go to Google and you can look up Google Classroom. They've got great tutorials there. You can go to Pinterest, type in Google Classroom. You'll see great resources from other people there. Lynda.com is now part of LinkedIn Learning. If you have an account, you can go in there, or if your school has an account, you might be able to find some cheap ones. And also, feel free to email me. I don't have a problem answering your questions with there. I'll get back to you as soon as I can on those, but you can kind of look at that. Finally, the biggest thing, the biggest help of using these Google resources is the question mark down here in the corner. So you click on that, and you can find out what's new. But the most important thing, you can report or request a feature. So if there's something that's giving you a problem, you can do a screenshot of it and kind of share that with them, what's going on in there. If there's a feature you'd like to have, you can ask for that feature, and then if more people like that, they will look at that. Google does pay attention to these things, and they have made changes for lots of us. One example of that, oops, hold on, let me cancel, is back here in the stream, when they first changed the layout of this, they had gotten rid of this View All tab here. This View All is invaluable to you in terms of your grading as a teacher. When you click on it, so remember when the students clicked on it, they saw all their assignments. When you click on it, you see all your assignments. So these are things that you've made, and you've seen if you've assigned them or if you graded them or not. So all of these have been assigned, and according to this, I haven't actually graded any of these yet. When I graded them, they would have been returned. That's because this was for a workshop, so they weren't really graded, and so that's why it was in there. But it helps you with your grading. So in my real class, all these things say graded on them, and so I can kind of know what I need to grade next. And then also, it'll give you a third one. If a student, if you graded it and they returned it back in, that will show up. So that way it'll show that you have most of them graded. Then somebody turned one thing back in, you can go back, click on that one item, and go back and grade that item. And so that's a really great way to go through without having to go back to the, to go back to the classwork tab and look up each item separately to see whether you've graded it or not. Because when you click on it, you'll see that whether you've graded it. It'll say how many have been turned in, how many you've graded. You can do that. That view all gives you that look, and that view all is from the stream tab. They had left that off, and so many of us needed it. We hit the question mark down here. We asked the question, and they fixed it for us. And that's a wonderful thing on there. So good luck to you, my compatriots out there who have to communicate. This is a 40-minute workshop. I'm sorry it took so long. I hope this helps you. Feel free to email me with any comments or questions. I will create a classroom that is outside of ACC so people outside of ACC can communicate and see these resources. Good luck to you, and I hope to hear from you soon.